Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live post-game show after Game 3. What a game. Let's just say this, get it out of the way. First of all, I was saying earlier on Twitter, this was like the most impressive rebound from a multiple ankle injury incident in Game 1 for Jimmy Butler. That left ankle rolled twice, really painfully. The knee looked like it got wrangled in there too. So just the fact that he came out with any kind of force the last two games was really impressive. So that's one. Now, I've had the privilege of seeing every Michael Jordan finals game, and many of them in person. That his performance, this 40-point triple-double he had tonight, goes down as one of the best performances I've seen in a finals game of all time. Honestly, that's how good he was. And he had to play almost the entire game, with this ankle, which I guess is not bothering him anymore, carrying a team that's already down two starters. And here's the thing, the Heat the Lakers did make that one run. It almost felt like, that was about it. They gave their all, the Heat did, and then the Lakers was going to overpower them with the talent at the top. But just to show the resilience and get back in it. Now, here's the other thing. It's interesting. The Heat didn't play zone at all the last 4.5, 5 minutes of the game. Not at all. And so what's interesting about that is that that the Lakers are probably spending a lot of time working on attacking the zone, as they should. They're going to face it half the time or whatever. But I feel like this is the chess match, and how Spoelstra plays this and whether it works or not is really going to be a key to this game, to the series. So, and by the way, it might work in some games. It might not work in others. They played 70-some possessions in Game 2. It was crazy. It didn't work out for them. But I'm interested to count them up and see just how well the Heat did, because the man-to-man defense for the Heat was pretty effective tonight. So, anyway, let's welcome everybody in here. Everyone's streaming in here. Great to see. Oh, my goodness. We're already getting super chats. I see one, but it's not popping up on the viewer activity. Why not? Maybe it'll come in a second. But again, if you want to get your comments and your questions, whatever, just make sure super chat's probably the best way, because it comes fast and furious. There's a lot of people here. I want to get to as many as I can, and I really appreciate all the super chats as well. So let's see. We talked about Jimmy a little bit, and we talked a little bit about the zone. So let's get to some. We'll get to some super chats right now, and I'll get back to more of my notes. So, my goodness, BB Coach JW33, again, you are way too generous as it's been. Thank you so much. Was this Game 3 victory for the Heat as surprising as the Sixers taking Game 1 in the 2001 Finals? Wow, now you got to go back in the memory banks. That was against the Shaq, Kobe Lakers that were all-time, hadn't lost a game, I think, in the whole playoffs that year. Yeah, although here's the thing. In the first two games, we'd seen moments where the Heat could hurt the Lakers. And I had, shown in the video like how they could with the zone and what this and that. So we had seen evidence before this that they could actually do that. Now, in fact, it was Game 1 where they had a 13-point lead and were like on the verge of blowing them out a little bit. And then, even Game 2 with really everybody out and Jimmy playing, but, definitely not 100%. They could not pull away. They could only stay the 10 points up, or 8 or 10, 12 points. And that's another indication of something. So, it shouldn't be that surprising that they got a game. We're going to have to find out if that matters. But then again, Bam Adebayo could come back. I think Dragic is out. I think with a torn plantar fascia, in the foot, I think you're out. I don't see anybody coming back from that and being any effective at all. But Bam, doesn't need. His legs work fine, and the question will be, well, how much does he have to lift his arm or not? And that's still a problem. And if it's the neck, I would imagine they could treat that and get it better. I would be worried if it was a shoulder, but they're saying it's the neck. But if it was a shoulder, that would be another serious thing. But they might be able to get him patched up and give him some minutes. And man, when you're watching this game and you see how the Heat have struggled a little bit in a lot in their half court offense, they need a Bam Adebayo in there to throw it to the high post, get a lot of good action there where he can fake it. We did see Kelly Olynyk do that role, but Bam is better, I think. What Kelly Olynyk does bring to them, though, is three-point shooting. So we'll go through the box score in a minute, because I kind of want to see what Kelly did from there, because I know he had 3 for 5, and they were all huge. So, okay. So anyway, this was not as surprising. I think the 2001 Finals, BB Coach was probably even more surprising, and then clearly the series ended pretty quickly after that. Ji-Hoon Huang, oh my goodness, thank you so much, very generous. Butler is God. God is Butler. Well, for one night, that was certainly true. He was a basketball god, and nobody could stop him. And I'm going to go through this game, and I'm going to point it out, because I have been saying this for years. attack LeBron James on defense. And nobody would do it. I guess he was getting by on his reputation because there's enough evidence I had seen over the years that you could go at him one-on-one, maybe get him into foul trouble, but also get shots off and score. Jimmy Butler in the first half, I know he had, like 20 or 18 or whatever it was. I got to go through it, but I'm pretty sure a number of those buckets were on LeBron, like just, driving in the hoop, pulling up, going around him. It was an interesting thing, and they're going to have to adjust. At one point, they put Danny Green on him in the fourth for one possession, and Danny Green got a stop. And then they went right back to LeBron, and then at that point, the Heat just started doing ball screens to get him off of him and then attack like Kuzma or KCP, which makes sense because certainly KCP is sort of smaller and won't be able to handle him in the paint. And then Kuzma is just, challenged on the defensive end to some degree. J Delgado 216, thank you, my goodness. Hi, Coach. LeBron needs to fight through screens. Every time Jimmy switched, it was pretty much a bucket. Just, we're on the same wavelength here. The way the game is played, LeBron is probably going to switch that. He switches off-ball screens as well. In fact, they got another dunk or a layup when Morris, I think, just assumed he needed to switch with LeBron on the left side in the corner. It was a corner and wing exchange. But LeBron didn't switch. It wasn't much of a screen, so I understand that. But, when you play the entire season with LeBron and he expects you to switch, then what are you supposed to do? That was confusing. So there's a lack of communication overall there. And, they need to tighten it up. The Lakers were bad defensively. They really need to improve. If they want to win another game, I think the Heat have started to figure some things out. So, excuse me. Here we are. Oh my God, Navito. Why can't LeBron be aggressive this game like Jimmy Butler? Okay, so let's talk about how they were defending LeBron. So zone is one thing. LeBron gets into that pass mode, and you can see him holding the ball, just waiting to pass it, right? You can kind of tell he's going to pass it. And he did really well. LeBron he must have had 10 assists, 8 assists. So he did really well facilitating, and he got his 16 shots and made 9 of them. So he had a typical game for LeBron. It wasn't incredible, but it was typical for him. But here's what they were doing on the ball screens. So they were bringing up Duncan Robinson, right? They want to switch, they want to attack Duncan Robinson. And Robinson and Hero both would hedge really aggressively high, drive LeBron back a little bit, and then as soon as the roller would clear, Jimmy Butler, I think was primarily the guy guarding LeBron, could get back in position, and then you'd see Robinson sprint back and pick up his man. And they can do that because they play zone so much. When you do that and hedge high that way, you pretty much got to play a zone on the back three. So there really isn't a big difference, honestly, when you boil it down between man-to-man defense and zone. A lot of the same principles apply, and I'll do a video on that at some point, maybe right when the season's over or something. But they're really good at that. So LeBron would dribble up, and they would push him up, and he'd almost pick up his dribble a lot of the time, and he'd stop, and the whole offense would die. There was a moment in the third quarter, beginning of the fourth, where he started to split those, and he would throw the ball out in front and go, and they were killing the Heat's defense. And then LeBron stopped doing it. Now, I got to check to see if the hedge was any different that would maybe not allow him to do that as much, but I don't know why he stopped. But that was a big reason, was this instant, quick, high hedge to drive him back, and then sprint back to the roll man as soon as LeBron's man got back in position. So it was really, it's not a revolutionary way of playing it, but it really was effective. So what else is next? Jalen Davis, thank you so much. AD cannot be put on the perimeter the entire game. That is another thing. I thought he got a fair amount of post-ups, but you might be right. And now that I'm thinking about it, he probably could have used a few more. I think the biggest problem they have with AD is on the defensive end, because when they put these lineups out that require him to guard a three-point shooter, those are tough. That's tough for the Lakers because AD does not want to stay out there and contest. He likes to hover around the paint. And even though there are times when he doesn't contest the shots down there either, inexplicably, he is effective down there most of the time. And but as a result, these Heat are throwing the extra pass, the and one pass, the one more pass, and when it's his man, if he's guarding Crowder, if he's guarding Olynyk, it's too many open shots for them. So let's look at Olynyk. What did I say? Olynyk went 3 for 5 from 3, and then Crowder went 2 for 8. I like to see how many of those were when AD was guarding him, but like there was definitely numerous 3-pointers being made when it should be him closing out. He's not doing that. Now, here's the other thing that's interesting. Let's go back to the box score really quickly, and I'll get to your super chats in a second. I apologize, but let me just get this point out. The Lakers outscore the Heat again from the 3-point line. Now, they've shot pretty similar from percentage, so there was no advantage there, really. But Lakers made 14, and the Heat made only 12. I'm shocked at that. I was convinced the only way the Heat would win a game is if they got more threes and like 4 or 5 more threes. Rebounding, the Lakers out-rebounded them by 6, which is somewhat significant. But offensive rebounds, again, the Lakers got 11. It didn't kill them. I think I want to go look at that, but I'm not sure after the offensive rebound if they got a lot of those putbacks. I don't think they got into the 18, 19-point second chance points, and that's where it can hurt you. So it didn't kill them when you gave them up. Now, the Lakers had 19 turnovers, which were killer. Some of those were all live ball turnovers that led right to buckets, and that was a killer. So those are the key numbers that I'm looking at here as far as, what the box score tells us. But there's a lot more we got to look at. But oh my goodness, there's so many. I cannot thank you everybody so far and going forward as I'm about to catch up with all the super chats. Thank you. So the Trib won. As I thought, zone not working on the Lakers. Heat defense was much better in man. Bam coming, but still think Lakers win in 5. AD and Bron played bad. No. LeBron played well. Defensively he didn't play great at all, but offensively I thought LeBron played well. And then AD, I bet you his numbers are still pretty good, right? What were AD's numbers? No. Okay, 15 points, 6 for 9. You're right. So he did not get nearly as many post-ups as he should have been getting. And we've seen that from Anthony Davis before. He just kind of will disappear. And so there was moments when I tweeted out and people just didn't understand. I said, LeBron's absence, this was in the first half, by LeBron being on the bench solidified his argument for being the finals MVP. And nobody could seem to understand that what I meant was when he comes out, the team was falling apart. And they were playing so much better when he was in. And that means when AD is in, they're not playing as well. Now, they did have one moment, LeBron went to the bench, AD was in, and they did make a little bit of a run, but not as sustained as it was when you flip it. So LeBron is really, it's his, if the Lakers win the series, which they probably will, I'm sure, it's going to be his finals MVP, I think. Unless Anthony Davis somehow completely goes off. Again, I've said if it's close, it goes to LeBron anyway. But right now, after 3 games, I'd give it to LeBron without even thinking about it. So that's an issue. So here's the thing about the Bam Adebayo looms very, very large right now. It really does. Let's see here. Khalil Nixon, thank you very much. I feel if Bam is back in there, there's less fear of him shooting a 3. Am I wrong? Yeah, there's less fear of Bam shooting a 3. I think is what you mean. And that's absolutely, he won't shoot 3s. I don't think he shot a 3 all year long. But Bam is so good at the high post, which is what they needed because there were enough moments of where the Lakers defense was so good, the Heat could not get the ball below the free throw line. And when Bam is in there and he can command the ball at the high post, that's the kind of penetration where they can get a good shot when they get it there. And he gives that to them, and also is another distributor and a playmaker off the dribble. So they need him in there. If they can get him healthy enough, he'll help. And that starts to balance things a little bit here. So we're starting to see that there is a deficit once we get past AD and LeBron, and there are games where the Heat can exploit that. But the fact that Jimmy Butler can exploit that LeBron matchup as well as he did is really interesting. And LeBron's going to have to, bring it better on the defensive end without question. And I'm sure he will. We've seen that in the past, but it's, he's getting up there, right? LeBron is getting to the point now where he doesn't get all the calls he used to get. He doesn't finish at the basket as well as he used to finish. He still is awesome, but it's not the same LeBron. And that's when you see little cracks here and there where, they could steal a game. They could steal another game, maybe. So I always kind of felt like that he could get to 2 games. And it's, that course seems pretty reasonable even now. Elner Paredes, thank you. Coach, I can't understand. Frank Vogel is a head coach in the best league in the world. Why not box in 1 Jimmy Butler going to the 4th? Or how about this? Why not just double him? Let's find out if Kelly Olynyk can handle the ball in the middle of the floor with guys who can deflect the ball as well as they can. Inexplicable they did not adjust one bit at all. They were setting that screen with LeBron, and all they do is just switch it really meekly. Why didn't they just try and double that off of that pick and roll? It was staggeringly coaching criminality without question. And in the video tomorrow, I'm sure I'm going to have to take him to task. That's the first time I've seen him really just no adjustment, just sat on his hands. It was like, okay. Now, I don't know what that means. Like, do they want to, they want to make sure they get 5 games? They want to make sure they get 6 games for revenue? I don't know, but it was very, very strange. Excuse me. Ben Mayers, thank you. Hi, Nick. Are the Lakers playing into the Heat's hands by shooting 42 threes, up from 32 during the regular season? Shout out to Biniam Walde Georges. Okay, Biniam. Is that what they ended up shooting again? Yeah, another 42 threes. Well, the funny thing is you would think that the 42 threes are coming like off against the zone, which they are. I bet you most of them are, even though the Heat, I would imagine, I haven't counted it, but we know that they play a lot less zone than they certainly did last game, without question. They probably went to their 40, 45 possessions of zone, which is around normal. But yeah, it's not what the Heat do. So it's a very, very good point that you're making. The Heat, their three-point percentage is generally among the bottom of the league, and so is their percentage of making it. So it really isn't their game, and yet they're doing it. Now a lot of their shots are good, and they have guys who can make it. But yeah, if you want to compare like what they built a whole regular season around and what they want to do compared to what they're doing all of a sudden now, it is a lot different. And I would imagine that you'll see a lot less threes in Game 4. Great point. Let's see here. BB Coach JW33. Wow. Thank you. Well, with this performance, how in the hell has Butler been on 4 teams? Where does this performance rank all time? So that's a good question. He's been on 4 teams because this is so much of a better fit for him culturally. If you watched, The Ringer had an interview with him with JJ Redick on YouTube. I watched it. I missed it, and I just saw it somewhat recently. And it was pretty revealing what was going on in Philly. So that kind of makes sense that he got out of there. It wasn't ever going to fit with him. I think that, Jimmy is outspoken. He's really competitive, but I think he's a nice guy. When you see him behind the scenes, he seems like he's really funny, and he seems like he cares about his teammates, and he'll stand up for them. So I don't know exactly, how they kind of fell apart so quickly, but I almost feels like if Jimmy's going to be around a certain culture and realize this ain't it, he knows what he's looking for, it's not it, then he might self-destruct a little bit because I got to get out of here. This isn't going to work for me. And now that he's with the Heat, this is a love fest there, and he's really fitting in. Now, he's not really the first tier kind of player. I mean, he's certainly convinced me tonight that he looks the part for a lot of the time, but not all the time. And that's why I feel like I can't quite get there, as him being like the number 1 guy on a title-winning team, which, again, it would be the biggest shock of all time if he'd ever win this thing with this team. So that's probably what it is. It's just like, it could have been self-destructing as well, realizing this is not the right situation. But man, he's found it perfectly with Miami, and I'm sure they love him and don't want him to ever leave. Where does this performance rank all time? I don't know. It's like I mentioned in the beginning of the broadcast. This is as good as any Michael Jordan performance I had seen, I think, in the finals. I've seen them all. I guess short of like hitting the game-winning shot in Game 6 against Utah, like that one, probably just you have to reserve that for something special because the steal and then the shot. But there can't be more than 5 or 6 performances better than that in the finals. I don't think so. There can't be. Mark Lyman, thank you. Do you think that AD or LeBron James is the key guy for the Lakers? I think it's LeBron no matter what. I think AD shows enough, and he has in the past couple games how dominant he can be. But I still feel like it's the balance with LeBron being out there. And what I saw tonight is when LeBron went to the bench, it fell apart for the Lakers a lot more than when AD went to the bench. Yeah. So that's what that says to me is that LeBron really is the key guy still. AD is really close. He really is, but it just feels like the way everything is set up and the way the roles are defined, it is LeBron no matter what. The Trib one, thank you. Bron had 8 turnovers and AD was in foul trouble. Okay, so there you go. The 8 turnovers were pretty bad, and some of them were really bad. Like he got a back tap by Kelly Olynyk that someone needs to yell that out and tell him that someone's coming. A great hustle by Olynyk. Another one on that travel. I actually had to go through it. Now, there was a potential like carry in the beginning of that spin move. Then he shuffled his feet. But it was actually, it didn't look right, but I thought maybe it was one of those legal plays that just didn't look right, and they blew the whistle anyway. But I went frame by frame, and I was able to kind of pull it out there and see the travel. So but it was not easy to see from our angle on that baseline. But yeah, the turnovers were killer. They really were killer. All across the board, not just his 8, but they had 19 total. Mark Lehman, thank you again. Also, Coach, love the videos. Moving to Vancouver soon. You know what? As of today, it doesn't feel like I have to leave the country. But man, is it insane. I mean, whatever side of the political spectrum you're on, I don't see how you portray this as good, what's going on at all. It's an SHIT show out there, man. And more people are going to get sick from that Saturday party they had. So anyway, but I love Vancouver. I'm going to have to come visit at the very least. And then see, but I think I'm going to be able to stay in the country for now. But I'll let you know November 10th, 11th, November 17th. Jay Capelot, thank you. Danny getting paid $14 million to miss corner threes. The Lakers call me up. I'll do that for free. Right. I mean, listen, he plays defense too. Let's not forget that. But you know, he had a turnover, at least one, right? Let's see. Danny Green. Where are the turnovers? He had that one turnover. Yeah, he's good for that one turnover where he's dribbling the ball too much. Yeah, and I think those threes were pretty open, right? What did he end up going? He went 0 for 4. You know, it's tough because you're talking about 4 shots across the entire game. You might go 15, 20 minutes without touching the ball. So it's rough. It's not easy. Whereas if you look at the Heat side, everybody touches the ball and everyone's moving and part of it, right? And that's a big thing that like Steve Kerr talks about. Phil Jackson talked about it and taught Steve Kerr about it. And it's like when you do a LeBron thing where you hold the ball so much, like, you know, we've seen this time and time again across every team he's been on where the role players whose job it is to hit threes go into these slumps and they don't shoot well. I've done videos on this. It happens. And a lot of the time it's because you just never know like when your touches are going to come. You never know when the shots are going to come or where. And it's difficult at this high level pressure to be able to perform that way. I mean, you're professional. You still got to do it. But you know, this is definitely a pattern we've seen with LeBron teams. Khalil Nixon, thank you, my goodness. Again, all you guys, everyone, multiple super chatters tonight. It's really, I thank you so much. I always wonder why does a shooter need a clear landing path, but someone who shoots a floater doesn't. Oh my goodness! And then Jeff Van Gundy made a great point. It wasn't even like a floater, right? It was sort of like just a turnaround pull up from about 6 feet, and got jacked on the way down. Floaters for sure. We see the shooters pinball off of the defenders. Now with the floater, you're carrying, right, and you're moving through space. So that's probably the answer is like, okay, well, they'll let the defender kind of be straight up or whatever. And then if you carry into him off the release, they're not going to give that to you. But that one that Jimmy Butler got hit on, it was silly. It was like, what are you doing? And then they had another one where they called a foul on a 3-point shot. That was, that was last game. But this game they had one too that was a little bit controversial. I'm trying to remember now if I agreed with it. Did I? I don't remember now. So anyhow, hey, do we have Gigolo Puff out there tonight? I don't know. I don't know if I see him. I feel like I see some chats I got to attend to. But maybe if you are out there, big shout out to him for being maybe it's a Sunday night he's not around. I don't know. But he's almost always there cleaning up the chat. But the chat looks pretty good so far on that side. Oh, no, I guess he's not there. All right. So anyway, let's see. Let's get back to our super chats because again, I mean, this has been this is how you get my attention and answer questions. Alex Coupe. Or Coupet. I don't know if it's either or. How does LA stop following JB that much in the future? That is a really great question because, man, does Jimmy Butler go hard. And he's looking to find the little bump on the contact legitimately. You know, it's not even like what Harden does. He's just going up strong. And, you're entitled to this space. When you bring the hands up to shoot, that's your space that you cannot get bumped into and beat on. So I think the answer, Alex, is doubling. Get it out of his hands. Just don't let him attack that way because a lot of the attacks were like multi-dribble sort of ISO situations after a switch. So you have time and you could load up on that. We saw the Lakers even play a little bit of zone and that would help as well. So they need to either commit to doubling him or play some zone or they got to find somebody to be able to keep him out of that lane. And it wasn't LeBron tonight. Oh my goodness. Aaron M 5523-1. Thank you. What's your intake on, or what's my intake on LeBron walking off the court before the game was over? Now, I didn't tell Aaron to send the super chat. This is not a setup here. I can prove it to you what I felt. Oh no, I think I even said it if you go all the way to the beginning of the chat. That's lame. You don't just like walk off the floor like a sore loser when there's 10 seconds left. And then the clock didn't go off because of the shot clock, and they should have been able to see that there was going to be a 0.7 difference, and they had to get back on the floor. Should have been technical foul, and make them stay, and then I think you could probably call a technical for each player that left the court illegally. So just on that alone, it's illegal. You can't leave the floor like that. So, that's just, that's lame. It's lame. It's poor sportsmanship, which I don't think means much these days in pro basketball. But, listen, that's just, I don't know. That's not what you do in my mind. I'm curious to see if they ask anybody about that after the game. Talib Kweli 18, thank you. Is Miami using zone like 11 Dallas to take LBGA out of the game? I mean, kind of, although they didn't play as much zone as they do, but certainly they're using it because, yes, they can't keep him out of the lane as easy with one-on-one. So, and it's a little easier to sort of play the zone than have to double and get out of position. So what you'll do see is a lot of pretty good rotations out of their zone once they kind of ultimately kind of double him with that. And that's a lot easier because you know where you're starting from to rotate to the guy versus man-to-man where you may not be in the exact same position every time and you're trying to find where the opening is. It's harder. So the zone is doing it obviously to handle that, but it's also there to handle like the bigger players like Dwight and AD who want to crash the boards. Ironically, zones give up a lot of offensive rebounds, right? But it also helps them get them. So it's a kind of you got to sort of trade that. And you're going to trade some shots where they kind of get an opening, but you're running at them and get a hand up. Those are the shots you're willing to give up. Versus like the man-to-man, I pointed it out with Caruso on one play where LeBron was at the guard spot, and then Caruso's man, I think it was Hero on the right wing, kind of where the break is. And Caruso is basically at his inside foot on the lane line. Let me show you this because I have this with me. Are you ready? Let's do a little blackboard talk, shall we? Let's see how this works. So, can you see this? Okay, good. Not too bad on the glare. Okay, so here's what we had. It was going this way. So we just do it this way. Wait. Now, I'm gonna do the Randy Whitman thing. Let's just do it this way. So Caruso was here. Okay. LeBron was here with the ball, okay? And Hero, oh my God, that's not right. But let's just say it was Butler. And Caruso was here, and then Hero was here, okay? Now, the ball gets passed. This is one pass away because the ball is within about 15 to 17 feet. Oh my goodness, you can't see that. Whoops. Sorry. Okay, so let me do that again. I'll hold this a little higher. So here's Butler. Butler is here. Hero is here. And Caruso is here on the lane line, okay? So this amount of space is an awful lot to give a man because he wants to stop Butler from driving in here. I kind of get it. This is called pack line defense. This is how the pack line, they get pre-positioned here. Whereas if I were guarding this, I would have Caruso be about 2 steps over, and then if Butler starts to come, he will stunt and then get right back to Hero. Just take a step to the ball and then back. He's not helping there. But if you pre-help, to take away the drive and you have your inside foot on that lane line here, you're not going to get to there on a one pass away, quick pass, quick shot to the basket. And so that's okay. Just know that you're going to give up the open shot. You know what I mean? I know that, Devin Williams was getting into it with me about why he thinks I'm wrong. I'm not wrong. I'm not even sure it's an argument. I think we're both saying the same thing. I think we're both saying, well, you have to give up something, and we got to stop that penetration, so let's get into help early. I think you can get the best of both worlds. I've seen plenty of guys stunt from one pass away and get right back, and actually the ball handler will pull. Even like CP3 will stop the dribble a little bit and slow up. Because remember, the help should be coming from the weak side of all the time. So anyway, we saw that play happen, and then Hero hit a key 3. I think that was in the fourth quarter. So I think so. That's why I don't think you have to be in that early pack line position. That's why I don't like pack line so much. Plus, you get back quicker when you can stunt and then recover because you're not just pushing off of one foot. Now, if you're stationary on that lane line and you drop and split, okay, that's good. But that's why I like the stunts because it's like a much more explosive move to jab that step. You're not leaning that way. You jab your right foot out and you jab your right hand out or whatever hand it's inside, and then boom, you get right back. And it's a way I actually teach this technique. It's a specific technique for functional movement that makes you explosive. And if you haven't been taught that, I don't expect you guys to really understand necessarily why it's better, but it is. And here's the other thing is I've been doing this for a long, long time. Like, 10 years? And I've been coaching for longer than that. And I've been studying this exact thing for a long, long, long time. So I will default to my opinion on this one because I just seen it so much. So, all right, let's get back to our, oh my God, super chats. Crazy. I'm never going to catch up now, but I will. Here we go. Let's see here. Where do I leave off? When you can't win. Oh my goodness. Thank you. That's so generous of you. What is wrong with Frank Vogel not wanting to play his bigs? Dwight never plays in the second half, and JaVale hasn't seen the floor in the finals yet. Is that right? I think JaVale's played a few minutes. Let's go to the tape. If we only had a website that would give us game logs. Let's see that. But not that it really matters, but I'm just kind of curious. I feel like I've seen him. I don't want to feel like I'm acting crazy here. But let's just go to the game logs, scroll down to the finals. He played 2 minutes in the game. Oh, wait a minute. You're right. He did not play. If he didn't play tonight, he hasn't played at all. So you're right. Well, when the Heat go so small, I think the point is that Vogel is very concerned about giving up, threes, giving up penetration in threes when those big guys don't want to get out of the paint. But you are right. With Dwight, when he's in there, he causes a lot of problems for the Heat. Actually, how did he do tonight? I think he was kind of quiet, right? Dwight played 15 minutes, 4 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, didn't get a block. So he wasn't even that effective, and his plus minus was terrible. So, I think he's looking at it. Is it working? Is it not working? And then kind of we'll go from there, because I feel like Dwight has gotten some more minutes in the other 2 games, right? Let's check that game log real quick, because I'm kind of curious. I feel like Dwight, when it was going better for them, he got more minutes, and as a result was more. He was either more productive because he got more minutes, or he was more minutes, and then he got more productive. But let's see here. In the games, he played 15 minutes game 1 and a little over 17 in game 2. So, yeah, it's a good question, and I do feel like the game starts to get loose, and they need to have guys who can chase around and get out to the shooters, and that's what he's worried about. But you're right. He should probably stick to his guns a little bit more and see if he can impose his own will with the big guys on the offensive rebounds and block shots and those kind of things. It's certainly worth a try. Let's see here. Where did I leave off? Let him eat cake. Thank you. Friend of the breakdown. Coach, you made a big mistake saying people can go at LeBron when he's on D. Laker and LeBron crazies will not be happy. You don't criticize LeBron. I know. Well, you know what? The mistake is I probably should have had all the clips compiled ready to go to show you, because you might not believe it until you see it. But my memory was there was at least 3 or 4 in the first half. And then I think there was at least 1 or 2 in the second, or maybe there was 3 in the first half and 1 in the second, and then they started screening and switching. But it's a thing, and but you're right. Like it's out on the limb here, but I'm telling you, the last 3 or 4 years that I've seen enough evidence of guys that have success going at LeBron in the regular season or in the playoffs that it's like they need to start doing that and at least try. See what happens, but most teams just, they're intimidated, and rightfully so. The guy is intimidating, but if you can get over that, I think you can get some buckets, and Jimmy proved that tonight. The Trib one, thank you. Bron been in the league for 17 years. Get over it. Okay, I'm over it. Dylan Huntley, thank you. My goodness, what is A? What country is A? Austria. I don't know. Australia, maybe. Is Kareem second in the greatest of all time ranking with LeBron third? Oh wow! I mean, Kareem, man, doesn't get any respect. Wilt. Can't you put Wilt above Kareem? I mean, maybe not. I don't even know. Man, that's tough. I'm comfortable putting LeBron right behind Jordan in like with the same number, but just like 1B. So, but Kareem deserves every bit of respect that he can, and so does Wilt. So that's a tough one. But N Starks 007, thank you. Wow. Why is Vogel trying to have the Lakers play 3-ball when they suck at shooting threes? It's a really good question, and they need to adjust. Now, part of their thing is like they're getting a lot of penetration and sucking everybody in. So if you watch the Heat defense, there's 4 guys in the paint trying to stop them all, and that's what are you supposed to do? Like that's the open the shot. So they're making the right pass. It's just something they haven't really built towards, which is also funny because I would think with the LeBron AD team, you would have a lot of threes taken. It's a weird thing that they didn't. Now, part of that was because AD got a lot of post-ups in the regular season, and LeBron. But that's not, it's hard to explain. I remember doing a video during the regular before the COVID about that, where they were doing a lot of post-ups, a lot of offensive rebounds, old school basketball, and not a lot of threes. And what they didn't prepare for, obviously, in the regular season is a team like this. And it would have been the same against Milwaukee. Milwaukee probably would have, collapsed. And that's the other thing is the Heat want them to do this, right? Because they're not that great at it, and they're not used to shooting that many. So if you want to look at a coaching job, like that's a really good point where you might think that the Lakers are, they're getting good shots, but it's actually what Spoelstra wants. So I would give the nod to Spoelstra across this series so far. They've shown that they're really well prepared and have a game plan that can have success. It's only a question of how much success. I wouldn't argue with someone who said the series is going to end in 5. That's reasonable. I think we get to probably 6 if Bam can come back at all. But this is where the coaching stuff comes in. It's a real big thing. And then to go man to man the entire way down the stretch when I'm sure they were expecting zone every single time, throws you off. So then guess what happens next game? Well, next game you're going to watch, they probably will play more zone down that stretch and mix it up. And they also did an interesting job. They changed up the alignments a little bit. I got to go through it and really study. I hate it when they have the sideline shot. It's hard to see exactly what the alignment is. So hopefully I can go back and frame by frame and analyze a little bit more and see if they move some people up and around. At one point I thought they had a 1-3-1 going, but it was hard to tell. Let's see here. Evan Lovix. Thank you. Do you think that Duncan Robinson's poor shooting in the finals is a major concern? Let's look at what he shot today because, he hasn't made a ton of them. 3 for 10 is not terrible. If he had made one more, he would have been elite. So, but getting them off, actually, he got 10 3-pointers off. That's actually cause for rejoice just getting him off because he's really having a hard time shooting those. I'm kind of curious right now. Let's look at his Duncan. So here's what's interesting. You type in Robin, in autofills. Duncan Robinson does not come up on B-Ball Ref. You got to start typing Duncan. It's interesting. But in the game logs, let's go down here. So in the first 2 games against the Lakers, he took 3 3-point attempts and then 7, and then he got to 10 tonight. So that's very encouraging. He got 10 off, but he's got to rush them. Even the one he got that was wide open, he just, like when you pressure a guy so long and then all of a sudden he gets open on one, it doesn't almost feel open anymore, in a weird psychological way. But, I think with him, I would suspect he'll get more and more comfortable just by being in the limelight of the finals. That's a lot of pressure for a guy who, barely made the league and all of a sudden he's thrust into a starting role. So he's going to need some time. I think Hero is the same way. They're just slowly getting acclimated, which is not a good sign for the Lakers because if Hero continues, he wasn't. He ended up getting 17 points, but he was 6 for 18. Only 1 turnover, but a couple block. I think he got at least 1 or 2 block shots that were just the wrong choice of hand finish and the way he finished it, which he'll learn. But if those guys, if we get Tyler Hero from against Denver, against. The Celtics, like some of those great games he had, the Heat are going to really hurt the Lakers. They really are, and they're going to make this thing really interesting. And I don't know if we can quite talk about it yet, but the conversation at some point could very well be that what happens to LeBron's legacy if they don't win this series. But we're going to put that away and bury that for a while. We don't have to worry about that yet. Gigolo Puff, you are out there. My goodness, thank you so much. I see you cleaning up all the some of the chats. Thank you. For being the man. So I don't think it's a major concern. And in fact, I would predict, again, it's really the attempts because he's going to make a bunch. 3 out of 10. He makes 1 more, he's elite. So anyway, yeah. So I think that he's progressing nicely across this series. And by the way, if Bam Adebayo comes back, then that should indicate that he'd get a couple more good looks. Talib Kweli 18, thank you. Should JB stay at point? Is Bam a net negative versus LA? Whatever Butler did tonight, do not change a thing. Keep exactly the way he was doing. It was perfect. And is Bam a net negative? No, Bam is going to help them. Bam helps them. He makes them better without question. And they need him. So for sure they need him. Aaron McLean, thank you. Hey, Coach, love your channel. You remind me of Nick Nurse. Well, by the way, that's a really great a compliment. I got to hang out with him, or not hang out with him. I got to talk to him for 5 minutes, and it was just like I was almost starstruck earlier this year, right before COVID hit. And he's just a great guy. And he also, by the way, plays piano. I play piano. Should Vogel start the Morris twin and put AD at the 5 since the bigs don't play much? I would think that, yes, he might want to go smaller earlier. I got to look at the lineup data because Dwight's lineup, let's see, Dwight had what was his plus minus? It's not exactly accurate, but so Dwight was negative 15. So he might be looking at that because I know he went to Dwight as a starter against Denver instead of JaVale in an interesting moment, which I thought kind of indicated he blinked, a little bit. Was like, oh, I better, even though they were up 2-0 or 2-1 at the time. But he might do that again. This is what happened, I think, the last time. The Lakers were up 2-1 against Denver, right? And then he changed the starting lineup, which is weird because it's like, you're up 2-1. Why are you changing anything? So he might. So I would not be surprised. Now, the question is it Morris? Let's see, AD to 5. I mean, I guess it is because Morris probably played pretty well, right? Morris was, he was actually a plus 10. He shot 5 for 11 from 3. So yeah, that might be what, and he got 6 boards. I don't think they would miss much compared to tonight if they put Morris in the lineup versus Howard, and they might get something more out of that. So that I would. That's a really great call. Let's see. Yes, Aaron, it's a really good call. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. Daniel Jackson, thank you. The Fakers are tired and bored, LOL. They're swatting away the heat like an annoying fly. I mean, there's certainly an air of that, right? We're like, what are they doing? They should just roll over and die. Why aren't they doing this? We are the ones who are supposed to win, and they're not. And that's what it feels like. And if they don't change their attitude about that, then it's gonna be a lot more than annoying. It's gonna be like one of those flying killer hornets. What are those things now we have to worry about? It won't be just like a little fly. So it's a really great point, Daniel. And we'll see again. The Heat are doing this without 2 starters, and they might get one back. And it's interesting. Colin Anthony, thank you. LeBron on a single possession or a stretch of minutes could be amazing on D, but he doesn't do that over an entire game these days. And that's true. He does have like the highlight plays for sure. But I mean, he got beat. Crowder cut back door out of a corner, and he didn't know for like 3 seconds that he was hit up there, and then he got the layup off of it too. That happens to everybody. But not in the playoffs, not in the finals, not in the fourth quarter, I think it was, right? Third or fourth quarter. Like, that's not when it can happen. And it did. So, yeah. 3.5.0, Deshaun. Wow, thank you. What do you think of the result of Miami Heat targeting LeBron and Anthony Davis on defense, constantly going at them? By the way, your head is huge. Is it like because of my... you know what? Because you know what happens is if I get too close with this angle, my head looks a lot bigger, maybe. Or my shoulders are not being wide enough. Or what also makes someone's head look huge? If you take too many gummies. So you might need to put an Allman Brothers album on and drink some orange juice and just, let it ride. So, getting back to the question. So yeah, I had mentioned it before. Targeting LeBron is you're going to get good shots. You are. Anthony Davis on defense, what they're targeting there isn't necessarily, going at him. It is driving and kicking to his man because he's going to hover around the paint. Another thing they have to do and find where that is. And that's why Spoelstra wants to keep playing small, because they want to make sure that Anthony Davis is guarding someone that can shoot threes, like a Crowder, like an Olynyk. That's the one thing about Bam is that he's not going to space the floor that way. But if Bam is in, he'll probably, if Dwight is in, for instance, then Bam probably gets guarded by him. So all of a sudden, AD is still having to deal with whoever it is who's going to shoot it. So it's this is the coaching chess match, and Spoelstra is doing a really, really good job. I think about as well as you could imagine. Let's see here. Where did I leave off? Dylan Huntley. Oh my goodness, thank you. A again. I think Dylan's got to be from Australia. There it is. I think Wilt can't be placed higher than Russell, with Russell being 4 or 5 next to Magic and Wilt somewhere from 6 to 9. Because Russell certainly gets the shine because of all the winning. But we talked about Bill Russell last show. I don't want to spend too much time on him, but Russell's offensive game was just very, very, very limited. So it's hard for me to get him way up there despite all the winning. Whereas a guy like Wilt's offense was really great, and he was really good at defense as well. Let's not forget that. He just had his teams were not nearly as good as the Celtics teams were. And then Magic's in there, Bird is in there. That's a really tough list to deal with. The Trib one, thank you. Jimmy played very similar to that Bucks game where Giannis got called out. You just tip your cap if you're the Lakers. He's not going to duplicate that. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect Jimmy Butler to do another all-time amazing, top 5 performance of the finals again either. So that's true. They might not need that though, and if they get Bam back and he plays better, then that might be okay. But But that might be a good point, and that might be the reason why the Lakers can just shrug it off and then win in 5. Nation JJ, thank you, my man. Can Heat really outplay Lakers 3 more games? Okay, that's another great question. Now, at least they don't need to do it for 3 straight games, because that's also obviously a tall order. But I don't think so. I don't think so. The energy expended to do this is so difficult. Now, that said, the Heat are one of those teams that are the best conditioned in the league, and they have some special things they do. I've been trying to find out what it is they do that's so special. I haven't been able to get firm answers yet. But if there was going to be a team that could do it and play above their heads like that, it would be a Spoelstra coach team in the environment of Miami and the culture they have there. But again, the likelihood of that would probably be like 70-30 against. Guo Yang, what do you recommend for LA to adjust in Game 4? Hi. So I think obviously we mentioned they should double Jimmy and really get it out of his hands and just force him to give it up, which by the way will then limit he'll not get the 40 points. That's a big one. They need to get Anthony Davis to come out and challenge more of those shots from 3. I think that'll help. Although, you know what? Like ultimately the Heat made less threes than them. They went 12 for 34, 35%. There were some of those were timely threes, but so I don't know. Maybe that's why they're willing to live with that as far as AD, not really coming out as consistently. What else would the Lakers need to do? Let's see. How many points they end up scoring? 104. So yeah, they didn't really come out and score. Let's see. In the quarter breakdown, they scored 23, 31, 26, and 24. So offensively, there needs to be something they need to adjust. So obviously, it's getting Anthony Davis a lot more shots. And, the real quick thing for that would be get him some more post-ups. And that's all on LeBron. Like, LeBron needs to call that play, make sure they get organized and get him down there. And it's not always clear if you go through the footage why he didn't get post-ups. Like, where was he when he wasn't? Are they overlooking him? Is he down there? They just don't throw it down there. Didn't feel that way as much, but I'm going to have to go through that footage and really dig deep. I think. I'm not sure if I'm going to figure it out. It might have just been AD like, I'm not going to go down there. I don't know, because he's going to have a mismatch for the most part. So that's the real big key for them offensively. And I guarantee you're going to see him get his 8 or 9 or 10 post-ups down there on that left block. Marcus Tan, thank you. SGD, but the message was retracted. Oh, I wonder what then he did another one for SGD. I can't figure out what SGD is, but thank you so much for the super chat. Aaron McLean, again, wow. Why doesn't LeBron have that killer instinct in his career like Kobe and Jordan had in the fourth quarter? He has to be aggressive, not passive. You know what? Let me look at that real quick. Let's see what his stats were in the fourth, because I feel like he certainly was like dominating the ball and running the show. But, LeBron has, traditionally, let's go to the fourth quarter. LeBron traditionally has been that guy that's going to, facilitate too and, try and find that balance. And every once in a while he'll go on that run. He scores 18 straight points, but it's not usually how he does it. In the fourth quarter, LeBron 2 for 5, 0 for 3 from 3, 2 assists, 4 turnovers. So I think he was trying to get in there, and then, he suffered on the turnovers. That was one thing. It wasn't working for him. And again, like I mentioned, they were high hedging really early and kind of turning him away from that screen until his man could get back in front of him. And why he stopped splitting that, I have no idea. It was weird. And it would have put a lot more pressure on the defense and to get better shots. And that's, was he tired? He could have been tired. That might be something. I mean, how many minutes did he end up playing? LeBron played 39 minutes. He shouldn't be tired with that. So I don't know. It's a real conundrum. I'm anxious to see what he says in the post game interview. Let's see here. But again, he doesn't have that killer instinct. He's not like Kobe and Michael, and that's okay. No, not many people are. Marcus Tan, thank you. Possum King. Let's see here. Butler's play today gave me 2006 Dwayne Wade vibes. Yeah. Did he get? How many free throws did Butler end up shooting? Yeah, 12 for 14. So that's definitely like Dwayne Wade. Like, I'm just going to the basket and I'm gonna, get to the line. I feel like Butler might have gotten more baskets than Dwayne Wade was doing. My memory was Dwayne Wade was getting his 15, 16 free throws and not nearly as many attempts because of that. But I might be completely off. That's what it feels like. But yeah. And by the way, they're both Marquette guards, both tough guys like that, the same mold. So I'm not surprised. Aiden McKee, thank you. To what extent was Miami win due to AD foul trouble? Okay. So that was the other thing that I didn't bring up. It's a great point. So whenever a star seems to get into foul trouble and he goes out, let's see, he only played Davis ended up playing 33 minutes, which he missed a part of his rotation there. It tends to like screw everything up for whatever reason. They get out a lot of sorts. They lose their rhythm. It's kind of hard to explain sometimes, but although it makes sense, right? Now you're frustrated and you're angry at the refs and you're like, what's going on here? And then you kind of are not as aggressive on defense, and that might affect your offense. So all of that obviously must have contributed. And so certainly the field goal attempts were related to the, I would say, 6 minutes he didn't play. He probably would have gotten at least 2 or 3 more shots, and that would have been at least closer to what we've expected from him. But the foul trouble did loom large, and if I'm not mistaken, those are all legit fouls. Those first 3 fouls were the referees were made the right call on that. I know one of them, the third foul was a good call for sure. So and without question that affected him on a number of levels. Nation JJ, wow, thank you. Tacos, hard shell or soft? I just had tacos actually from Tacos Tu Madre. You know what I do? There's nothing like a good hard shell taco, old school, like when you're at home, and your parents make it for you or your mom makes it for you. But I think I like the soft whatever shell. It's not a shell, soft tacos. And I had braised beef. Man, was it amazing! And then also at Trejo's Tacos. Trejo being the guy from Spy Kids. The kind of ugly guy who's the family friend who maybe makes stuff for them in the Spy Kids. Anyway, he opened the taco place in LA, and it's awesome. And they make brisket. Oh, is it good? And I used to like spicy, but I can't eat spicy much anymore. It doesn't make me. I don't feel good after that. Marcus Tan, can I have your top 10 ranking for coaches? SGD is Singapore. Oh my goodness. Okay, well please be safe in Singapore. And my top 10 ranking for coaches. Well, I got to put Spoelstra, Nurse. I don't know if I can have an order. It really is hard. But Spoelstra, Nurse. Gosh, let me look at the list here. Teams. Okay. Spoelstra, Nurse, Stevens, Kerr. Who's in that first tier? Who else is in that first tier? That might be Spoelstra, Kerr, Stevens, and who did I say? Nurse. Pop, Carlisle. I'm getting close to 10, aren't I? Who else do I like? Whose teams do I think I respect that are good coaching? I like Terry Stotts. Certainly Terry Stotts' offensive stuff I really, really like. So that's good. That's a good list for me, I think. I hope that kind of covers the guys I really would point out. Let's see here. Thank you, Marcus. Dylan Huntley, again, Australia. How do you say thank you in Australian? Have you seen the new Hawks unis? I have not. Are they like Dayglow again? Atlanta Hawks, new jerseys. Let's see. When do they come out? Let's click on this. This is from July, but there's no picture. Where's the? Oh, there they are. They look cool. All right, I can mess with those. Yeah, the away jerseys are really cool. The dark ones, I like those. So yeah, all right. And hey, they're going to be good next year. They're going to be better next year. Nave Ito. I don't know, but thank you. When Anthony Davis is doubled, why don't Lakers cut to the basket? It's interesting. I gotta study that because he's not great at those kind of passes. He's gotten better at the kick out to the perimeter, so I'm assuming they're kind of replacing and moving along there to get that pass back. But I'm not so sure they doubled much tonight. I don't think he got very many post ups. So, but it's not really his thing. Although he's gotten a little bit better recently. I've seen some better passing out of the post. But it's the thorn in his side that they should continue to force him to do until he proves it more consistently, for sure. Possum King, thank you. All the Australians are out today. I guess it's maybe early or it's late. I'm not sure what time it is there. Possum King, the amazing thing about Jimmy's performance today was that he dropped 40 without shooting a single three. Man, is that a great point. It's almost unheard of in today's game to get to 40 on, on 14 buckets with nary a three to be had, which is, by the way, really good. He shouldn't be shooting threes. So 14 for 20, highly efficient, 12 for 14. That's a really modern stat line, though, by the way, as far as efficiency goes. And then he had 13 assists. So we have to count up because I guarantee you that some of those assists were for threes. So it's at least 26 plus 40 is 66 points. So he had a direct hand in at least 66 points, probably 70, of their 115. So that's amazing. That's like Michael Jordan effect kind of stuff. I mean, maybe even what's Magic Johnson. Really amazing. I'm telling you, top 5 performances of all time from in the finals. BB Coach JW33. Wow, thank you. I'm blown away. Has Olynyk earned minutes with his performances in the last 2 games, even if Bam comes back? Yes. In fact, they should play them together. They could play them together. Let's find out how that works because Olynyk faces the floor. So Olynyk got 31 minutes, 17 points, 7 boards, 2 steals, and assists. He absolutely deserves his 29 minutes. So the only question there is if Bam comes back and can play 25 minutes, let's just say, who loses minutes? I would say they're going to probably take him from. I would take him from Iguodala. Honestly, I don't think he's as effective as he could be, and I would sit him a little bit more, and maybe like none or like the Solomon Hill random minutes go away. And that's how they'll cover that. So yeah, but for sure, but they should definitely try playing them together, Olynyk and Bam for sure. Let's see here. Andre DeToni. Oh my goodness. Thank you from, I think, is it Russia, right? R is Russia. Wow. Why do the Heat keep touching LeBron in the elbow and expect him to miss? If you send him to the free throw line, at least make sure he doesn't get the and one. Oh, I see. You're right. I had a coach who used to say way back in the day, if you're going to foul him, foul him. And they're giving him some and ones. I mean, listen, I don't know what you can do. LeBron is so strong. He really is. That it's like sometimes, short of an intentional foul, which would be worse, it's just he's gonna do what he's gonna do. So I don't know, but they're doing fine. Whatever they're doing on him is fine. They're getting enough of those shots that they appreciate, that they want. That's okay. Dylan Huntley, my goodness, again, thank you. Thoughts on the Grizzlies, specifically Jaren. I love Jaren Jackson. His shot is weird, but hey, he's proven it, man, that he can make that. They should be really good. I know that Ja Morant is going to improve. I love Dylan Brooks. They got a sweet little team, and they're going to be good. So keep your eyes on them, which is, by the way, all this is pointing to LeBron's going to have a really tough time going forward because these other West teams are going to get better in a hurry. This is their best chance right now to grab it, so they better do it. The Trib One. Numbers favor LeBron in clutch situations all time. He's not a shot creator, so it looks different. Is the running for clutches all time? Check the tape. For sure. I mean, that was the whole thing about Kobe, right? Kobe's was not clutch, it turns out. He hit some clutch shots, but when you look at the overall body of work, he really bricked a lot of shots. Whereas, LeBron has always favored, making the right play. And that's gotten him in hot water where he's passed the ball when you think, oh, he's got to shoot it, but it was the right play to make. So, it's funny because I have a weird reaction to watching LeBron play, and I wish I could put my finger on it. But I can't. What I can't ignore is, he is just a great person. That the way he represents himself in the community and how he helps people is so off the charts and above and beyond, I think, any other NBA player. That I really want to make sure that I point that out because that's a big part of who he is. And I don't want to take anything away from him if I'm gonna on that end. If I'm gonna point out anything he might have done wrong on the court. But something about LeBron does it is. I get frustrated for some other reason, and it could just be like the underdog in me thinking like, gosh, you can't do anything about it. He's like Thanos. And some people might like Thanos because he's, so awesome and devastating. But, he's a wonderful person, so he's not the bad guy who wants to kill half the universe. But it's so inevitable when you see what he when he wants to do something that I don't know. But at any rate, he is terrific, and he's the best player on the floor, and he deserves the Finals MVP. Josiah John, thoughts on Doc Rivers to the Sixers? So. I think they're going to make some changes to the roster. I think I mentioned this in the last show, so that'll help. But somebody maybe The Athletic did an article that sort of said, he'll help, but it won't get them where they need to go. And I think that the reason that is because I don't know if it's the pairing of Simmons and Embiid will ever get to the title anyway. So no matter who's coaching them. So that might be the thing that's going to be frustrating. And I don't know. I was also just kind of shocked that Doc so quickly just jumped into it and needed to get another job like that. I mean, I think he might be getting to the point of his career where he realizes any amount of time out of the spotlight and out of the league means less likely he'll get hired again. So it's probably what he was thinking because this could be one of his last jobs. Devontae Van, was rebounding a difference maker? No, I mean, I just think it was Jimmy. Jimmy was a difference maker, just all on the both sides. Rebounding is an interesting thing. Offensive rebounds, if it's second chance points, still has a pretty big effect. We saw that in game 2. But with the 3-point shot, you can balance that out. And if you can limit turnovers, then suddenly those offensive rebounds don't hurt you nearly as much. So I think rebounding in general is sort of less important in some weird way. You can balance it out and overcome that. Travis O'Dean, thank you so much for the super chat. I really, really appreciate it. And you know what? We just crossed the 1 hour barrier. I can't believe this. And again, tons of people here. It was so nice, everyone, to be here. So I think, maybe I'll just scroll through really quickly in the live chat just to see if anybody's catching my eye with something. Oh my God, but here, Metasolar, my goodness, thank you from Canada. Speaking from personal experience, the only people who think LeBron is the GOAT are teenagers and extremely casual basketball fans. Trophies better than stats. I don't know. Listen, I'm telling you, LeBron is up there with, just behind whoever, just behind Michael. You got to put him up there. Anybody who knows what they're talking about would say that. But again, I can't say he's the GOAT, right? I put Michael above him no matter what. So there's truth to both of those statements for sure. But what's your personal experience if you're speaking from that? Oh, I guess you must hang around a lot of teenagers and extremely casual basketball fans. But either way. All right, let's in this chat. I'll grab a couple here while we wrap up here. Why does this game remind me of Lakers versus Nuggets game 3? Probably because of the same result, right? Lakers were up 2-0 and the Nuggets came back and took it, right? Isn't that what happened? So that could be. It's not a bad call. Let's see here. Anything else is going to grab me? Why is Myers Leonard not getting enough minutes? That's another good question. I definitely felt like they had a couple of moments in this game where they could have squeezed him back in there. Besides his run in the first and the third. So again, it depends. If Bam comes back, they're going to probably he might not even play again, but he deserves to play a little bit. He was playing really well, and he does give him some size. And there are so many times where I feel like he might be like lost and confused, but then you hear him with the mic on and you hear him calling out plays. He's like he's on point. So he deserves his 10, 15 minutes. Let's see here. T-Mac, thank you. Jordan is the greatest NBA player of all time. LeBron is the greatest basketball player of all time. What? What does that mean? Jordan is the greatest NBA player of all time. LeBron is the greatest basketball player of all time. But LeBron has only played basketball in the NBA. He didn't play college. And you want to count his high school? I mean, I don't know. It's a very strange take because I feel like those things kind of cross over more than that. But okay, interesting take. Let's see here. Let's scroll down here. All right, let's grab anyone who want to give me a little orange. Okay, here we go. Do you think the NBA told the Lakers to throw the game because they knew the series was boring as hell and the ratings were the lowest in history? The answer to that is no. But who knows? Who knows? They sent this crazy crew, which I don't know why they're together with Brothers and Tony Brothers and Foster, and they've been wreaking havoc on the refereeing profession all playoff long, and so that's interesting. But I mean, there are forces at work here, obviously, and sweeps don't help anybody in the league. But you got to give credit to Jimmy Butler. I mean, he made the shots and they hit the key shot. So I don't know. I guess the real proof will be Game 4. If Game 4, I suppose. Well, no, because they could lose Game 5 too and then win Game 6. I don't know. Who knows? But I don't dismiss those conspiracies a lot of the time. I'll say that. You never know. All right. Well, listen, guys, this was awesome. It's a little bit early still, so we can maybe hang out with our families before it gets too late to go to sleep, although maybe on the East Coast it's that way. But either way, I cannot thank you enough for doing this. These have been the highlight of the playoffs so far for me. I hope they have been for you. And thank you to all the super chatters. Again, it's really important. It really helps. So I'm really glad that we could be together here and do this. Stay tuned for the video coming up tomorrow, so all of you guys watch it a couple times. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?